Hello everyone, I'm very glad that you listened to my story. Please give me a follow and like the video if you enjoyed it. Feel free to comment and provide feedback so I can improve the sound quality. Yes, I will now continue the unfinished story. Chapter 54 The Black Egg. Two big groups had appeared in the distance and each of them wasn't any smaller than the floating cloud sects. The people leading them were a beautiful woman with long black hair and a 2 meters 6.6 feet tall, robust middle-aged man with a bald shaved head. Obviously the person who spoke just now was that middle-aged man. Sect Master De Chao. Do you think there is anyone in your iron-hardened sect that can defeat my grandson in the same level of cultivation? Why don't you bring that person out and have them compete with Liu Ming then? He, that's fine by me. De Chong, just go and beat that kid up until his grandfather can't recognize him anymore. As Sect Master De Chao finished speaking, a tall and robust young man that largely resembled De Chao walked from behind him. This young man was wearing brown robes and was almost as tall as De Chao himself, while his hands and feet were even bigger than his. Just as the situation was taking a turn for the worse, the beautiful woman who had kept quiet so far said in a sweet voice, "I am sure that everyone here is eagerly waiting for this year's examination to start. After all, what the sect examination tests isn't just brute physical strength, but a disciple's ability to plan ahead as well as their survival instincts. Since everyone has gathered, then how about starting the sect examination now?" The beautiful woman turned her look towards Grand Elder Lan Hong, who in turn nodded and said, "Since Vice Pavilion Master Li Huiyan and Sect Master De Chao have also arrived, we should all start with the sect examination. If you insist on fighting now, then your Flying Sword sect and your Iron Hardened sect can just stay behind and wait for the results." Both De Chao and Hui Zhong snorted, but they knew that the important thing in hand was to test their disciples this time, so everyone gathered their groups in front of the demonic mountain region's entrance. Lan Hong went in front of the floating cloud sects group and said, "You will all spend the next month inside the demonic mountain region. When the time is up, your sect identifying jades will light up as they will point your way towards my location. Until then, do your best to gather as many survival points as possible and try to stay alive too. That is all." As Lan Hong finished speaking, so did the other three leaders of their respective groups, as the groups started heading inside the demonic mountain region. Shun Long was feeling excited but also nervous at the same time. After all, it was the first time that he would be participating in something like this. This was going to be a true survival test. Shun Long started heading inside the demonic mountain region along with the other disciples, but as if in tacit agreement, no one fought as they were entering inside. Everyone is probably waiting for someone else to start a fight, since the first person who starts fighting here would be preyed upon by the others in the end. As he was heading deeper inside the demonic mountain region, Shun Long saw that the number of disciples around him had started to lessen. Just as he was about to find a good spot on the trees around him, he felt a spiritual fluctuation from the black egg in his spiritual space. Suddenly, all the chi around the area he was in had started rushing towards his body, more precisely, towards the stone of time where the black egg was in. This wasn't just the chi that was in direct proximity around Shun Long, but the chi inside the earth as well as in the air around him, all of it was now towards him. Shun Long started running deeper inside the demonic mountain region, as the black egg absorbed more and more chi. His speed had already reached such a terrifying level after entering the first level of the Monarch's eternal body that he was far faster than any peak rank 3 Earth-grade cultivator. Suddenly, as Shun Long was running deeper inside, a 3 meters 9 feet long snake jumped at him from the top of a tree. The beast could feel the rich chi around Shun Long and it madly wanted to absorb it all for itself. Shun Long immediately recognized this magic beast. A rank 2 dark venom snake. Shun Long tried to dodge to the side, but the snake coiled itself around his waist with lightning speed. Just as the dark venom snake tried to plunge its fangs on Shun Long's chest, he instantly activated the Monarch's hourglass and gathered all of his strength and chi in his right hand as he chopped towards its weakest spot, the snake's neck. Shenlong could feel his hands being bathed in a hot liquid, as the snake's head was severed and green blood dyed his arms and robes. Although the dark venom snake was a rank 2 magical beast, it was only comparable to an early-stage Earth-grade cultivator. This was the first time that Shenlong had killed something, and yet, he couldn't stop running as beast roars could be heard from every direction. He could already feel more and more magical beasts chasing him down from all sides. The disciples that were previously around him, had all run as far away as they could when they saw the horde of magical beasts that was now chasing Shenlong. The most terrifying thing was, that there were even some peak rank 2 magical beasts. A peak rank 2 magical beast was at the very least as strong as a peak rank 9 Earth grade cultivator, yet these beasts were now chasing Shenlong in a mad frenzy almost as if he was some kind of extraordinary delicacy. Thankfully Shenlong's body had been enhanced after having consumed the internal destruction pill and entered the first level of the Monarch's eternal body. Nevertheless, the beasts launched plenty of attacks, and Shenlong was eventually forced to use the Monarch's domain. Although his cultivation had already advanced to the early rank 8, in the end he was just a chi condensation novice and he couldn't keep the Monarch's domain active for more than 100 breaths of time. As if sensing the Monarch's domain, the black egg started vibrating even more intensely while its size was rapidly enlarging. After 49 breaths of time had passed since Shenlong had activated the Monarch's domain, the egg that had reached 3 meters 10 feet in height by now, finally cracked from the top as a black being slowly emerged from it. Chapter 55 The Black Dragon's Past. As the black egg cracked, a 3 meters 10 feet tall creature could be seen emerging from it. As the creature's eyes opened, an aura of absolute tyranny burst from it, suppressing everything around Shenlong. Every magic beast in a radius of 3 miles around him was now on its knees prostrating towards the source of this aura. Shenlong could finally catch his breath, as he hurriedly sent his spiritual strength inside the Stone of Time. What? His mind and thoughts couldn't believe that what he was seeing was real. A black dragon. Dragons really existed, and one of them was inside the Stone of Time. The dragon was black from its head to its talons. The only exception was a pair of bright blue eyes that were as deep as the ocean and were glowing with a shining azure light. The dragon was rapidly inhaling from its nostrils, absorbing every single bit of chi that was remaining around it. It suddenly spread its massive wings open and roared from inside the Stone of Time. This roar carried itself towards Shenlong's spiritual space and then continued outside of his body. As the beasts prostrating around Shenlong heard this roar, they all fainted on the spot. It didn't matter if they were rank 1 magic beasts or even peak rank 2, they had all fainted without exception. The dragon then looked at the imaginary Shenlong that had appeared inside the Stone of Time's space. His bright blue eyes that exuded absolute tyranny a moment ago, had suddenly turned gentle as the dragon looked at Shenlong and lowered his head in front of him before calling out, "Master!" The black dragon didn't open his mouth to speak. Instead, his voice had directly sounded inside Shenlong's head. Shenlong looked at the dragon perplexed, and unknowingly, he had put his right hand on the huge head that was lowered in front of him. He then opened his mouth to ask, "Are you the voice that was speaking to me from the darkness?" The dragon nodded his head. "Then, am I your master because the Stone of Time has merged with me?" "What is this stone?" "Since you called it the Stone of Time, then you must definitely know about it." The dragon shook his head at Shenlong's question as his answer shook Shenlong to his core. "Master, you are not my master because you possess the Stone of Time. You have been my master long before you obtained the Stone of Time." Shenlong didn't seem to understand what this black dragon tried to say. Wasn't he inside the Stone of Time? How could the previous Shenlong, or the rock from Earth, to have ever met with any dragons in the past? The black dragon seemed to be able to see through Shenlong's puzzlement as he answered with a question of his own. "Master, why do you think that the Stone of Time chose you?" "Right? Why did the Stone of Time choose me?" Shunlong seemed to be stumped as he couldn't find an answer to this question. Then he turned his bright eyes towards the black dragon as he asked. Does that mean that you know the answer? Of course. Master, there is always a reason for everything that happens. Let me start from the beginning. The dragon then sat down on the space inside the stone of time and coiled his long head around Shunlong before starting to explain through another telepathic message. A long time ago, I was born in a place called the Skymending World. The birth of any dragon, no matter how weak or strong, is enough to startle countless superpowers in the universe. Usually, when someone from our dragon race is born, there will always be some seniors from our race to protect us. However, my circumstances were different, and in the end, I had to flee the Skymending World while still a newborn, as I ended up being chased by a huge group of people. The dragon spoke with a hint of melancholy as well as grief in his voice as he continued. Although many people want to enslave a dragon, there are even more who want to kill one. A dragon's body is a priceless treasure. The horns, the scales, the claws, everything, even the tongue of a dragon would be a priceless treasure that many superpowers would kill to obtain. Then the dragon's eyes shone as he said in a proud voice with a big smile hanging on his face. That was when I and Master met each other for the first time. Shunlong was speechless. Why is he so sure that I've met him before? And yet, he didn't interrupt the dragon, who was explaining more about his past, as this story would probably include parts about the Stone of Time as well as help Shunlong understand more about this dragon. Although we dragons are born with exceptionally strong bodies and are very intelligent from the start, I couldn't escape the pursuit of all those people. That was when I happened to run into Master just outside the heaven-trampling city. Back then, Master saw my scarred body while I was still a newborn and took pity in me as he came to my aid. Since Master was already the lord of the heaven-trampling city and the heaven-trampling legion followed Master, aside from a few superpowers, not many would dare to antagonize you. However, there were still two exceptionally strong people who were willing to offend Master in order to get their hands on me in the end. They brought their armies in front of heaven-trampling city and demanded Master to hand me over. That was when the black dragon smirked as he continued. But how could it be possible that they didn't know about Master's temper? Master was already a renowned powerhouse back then and would never succumb to threats or forceful behavior. Their armies clashed in a cataclysmic battle with the heaven-trampling legion, and in the end Master personally killed both of their leaders. Chapter 56: Shunlong and the Black Dragon. Shunlong didn't ask anything as the Black Dragon continued explaining. Although dragons don't submit to humans, as a newborn with no one else to rely on, Master became my only family. That was when I first decided to follow Master. Master helped me grow, and after almost 1,000 years of cultivation and the continuous consumption of mountains of pills and natural treasures, I had finally reached a level where I was just slightly weaker than Master. That was when Master decided for us to go to the Dragon Realm and find out more about my origins. After all, it didn't make sense for a dragon to be born alone, outside of the Dragon Realm, and with no seniors to protect him. Then the black dragon's eyes turned chilly as an aura of murder radiated from his body that made even the surrounding space to tremble. However, that was when we met him. The black dragon then stopped speaking as his body was now trembling from rage, his eyes having turned hazy with a hint of bloodlust as he remembered those scenes. Who are you talking about? Seeing that the black dragon wasn't speaking anymore, Shunlong couldn't hold in his curiosity and decided to ask. As the black dragon heard Shunlong's voice, his hazy and bloodshot eyes became clear again as he answered. The person who called himself my father. One of the 9 emperors of the Dragon Realm, Long Tianyu. As soon as we met him, he tried to kill me without any hesitation or reason, and he and Master then ended up fighting for 7 full days and nights. Since no winner could be determined in the end, Long Tianyu and Master stopped fighting. However, before he left, Long Tianyu looked at Master and spat out, "I will only warn you once. You should look at your own business or your end will be a miserable one." The dragon realm's matters are not something that you should meddle into. Master then replied without any hesitation, this is my business. As for my end, someone like you shouldn't worry about it. Although you may be strong, don't delude yourself thinking that you are strong enough to threaten me. After that you brought me away as we left the dragon realm. Since then, I followed behind Master as we traveled the world and explored many different ruins until one day we entered a place called the Ruins of the Universe. In there, we nearly died before Master found the Stone of Time. Are you sure that the person back then had something to do with me? Also, what exactly is the Stone of Time? The Black Dragon resolutely nodded his head at Shunlong's question before saying, Master, you will understand everything as soon as I finish explaining things. Shunlong nodded and let the dragon continue speaking. The Stone of Time is one of the supreme treasures of the universe. Nobody knows exactly what it is, but it is said that inside it lies the secret to become a god. Shunlong couldn't resist asking, do gods really exist then? The Black Dragon shook his head as he said, I don't know, Master. However, it was said that inside the Stone of Time lies the secret for a person to ascend to godhood. There are other rumors as well, claiming that the Stone of Time is the key to enter another world. Nobody knows if they are true or not, but one thing is for sure, the Stone of Time is truly a mysterious and supreme treasure. There are always numerous people exploring the ruins of the universe at all times, and people happened to see that Master obtained a peerless treasure before we could leave the ruins. In their greed, many powerhouses banded together to attack Master, and in the end our only choice was to flee. As the Stone of Time merged with Master and became a part of your soul, the situation back then had reached a point where almost 1/10 of all the powerhouses in the universe were chasing us. However, as Master's soul was fusing with the Stone of Time, your strength was also rapidly increasing. And yet, in the end, an old monster that was in seclusion, heard about Master finding a priceless treasure and joined in on the chase. Although Master could probably fight him off one-on-one, we couldn't win against so many enemies. As we were cornered then, Master took a huge gamble. Activating the Stone of Time, Master placed me inside this space, before you also sealed part of your memories inside the stone. These memories then became a golden book. A third of Master's soul had also been sealed inside that. After Master sealed me and the golden book inside the Stone of Time, Master also split the remaining 2/3 of your soul in 2 parts. After that, Master detonated his body as well as his remaining cultivation, while sending the 3 parts of your soul in different directions. The Black Dragon's eyes were now glistening with tears as he remembered that scene. There was a huge explosion as the enemies around them had turned to dust. Shunlong's eyes widened as he connected the rest of the dots. If what the Black Dragon had said was all true, then nothing in his life would happened randomly. He died on Earth, almost at the same time as the other part of his soul died in the mortal world. The 2 parts of his soul merged, and the third and last one, that was inside the Stone of Time, also found him and merged with him. Shunlong couldn't believe what the Black Dragon was saying, and yet deep inside he knew that it was most likely the truth. After all, why else would the Stone of Time merge with him out of nowhere? But the most important reason that made Shunlong completely trust the Black Dragon, was that he could sense that the dragon was connected to him. Shunlong took a deep breath as he asked, assuming that everything you said so far is the truth, why did you ask me if I wanted power the first time you met me? Why did you ask me what my goal was? And, why can I sense your emotions? Chapter 57 Unbelievable Strength. The Black Dragon answered proudly. Master, have you felt your personality slightly changing lately? That's because all 3 parts of your soul have once again become one. Although back then, you split your soul into 3 parts and reincarnated, your desires were all hidden deep inside you even after your soul fused back together. In other words, you hadn't yet woken up. That was the only way I could stimulate your soul's desires and help you wake up. As for the reason why Master can sense my emotions, as I am soulbound to Master, we can both exchange messages with our minds. However, Master isn't strong enough yet and you have to wait until you reach at least the spirit realm before using your soul to directly transmit telepathic messages. Spirit realm? Is that the realm above the heaven grade? The Black Dragon nodded. Also, what do you mean by soulbound? It means that my soul is bound to yours, Master. In order for my body to enter the Stone of Time, my soul had to be connected to Master's, or the Stone of Time would have rejected me otherwise and I would have died back then. Master, you are my only family and I will make sure to protect you. It's just. The dragon seemed troubled by something and Shenlong could obviously feel it. It's just that I had to restart my cultivation from the start, so I am extremely weak right now. Shenlong was a bit disappointed when he heard that the black dragon was weak. Since he just started cultivating, he couldn't be any stronger than himself, right? Probably around the middle or the late stages of qi condensation. However, he wasn't dejected at all. Instead, Shenlong had a mysterious feeling of intimacy towards this dragon, and he could also sense the familial affection that the dragon felt for him. Shenlong then smiled as he petted the dragon's head and asked, "Right, what should I call you?" "Master, you have always called me Little Black," the dragon answered enthusiastically. "Fine then, I'll continue calling you that." Shenlong nodded before falling deep in thoughts. Little Black should be telling the truth, both based on the feeling I got from his soul when he was speaking earlier, as well as the fact that everything makes sense now that I know the story behind my past. Although I'm not really interested in becoming a god right now, I will still need to visit those ruins of the universe in the future if I want to find out more about the origins of the Stone of Time. Since it has merged with my soul and it doesn't seem to have its own consciousness, I doubt it's anything harmful, but I still have to investigate. I also need to become stronger to keep both myself and my parents safe. If it's possible, I should also try to help Little Black to find out more about himself in the future. It isn't logical for his father to try to kill him as soon as he stepped foot in that place called the Dragon Realm. Right now, however, I'm too weak that I can't even leave the floating cloud sect. For now, I should focus on the outer sect examination. As Shenlong sorted his thoughts, he said, "Little Black, for now it's better for you to recuperate and become stronger. The outside is dangerous and even I don't have absolute certainty of staying safe." The black dragon, Little Black, looked at Shenlong in a weird manner as he said, "Master, the outside is perfectly safe. As far as I can sense at least, there is nothing within 30 miles from your current location that can even match up to me, let alone posing a threat." Shenlong hesitated a bit before asking, "Little Black, what is your current strength right now?" Little Black thought seriously for a while before answering, "Right now I'm extremely weak, much weaker than when I was born the first time, as the chi I could absorb back then couldn't be compared to the thin chi in this place. If I have to put it in magical beast standards, then I'm just a rank 3 magical beast." Shenlong sucked in a deep breath as he heard this, but the shock wasn't over yet. "Despite my low cultivation though, I should be able to easily fight against a spirit realm cultivator who is in the middle stages." Shenlong was left speechless now. Not only could Little Black send his spiritual strength and scan 30 miles around his body, but he was also a powerhouse who could fight against middle stage spirit realm cultivators. Shenlong suppressed his shock as he then asked, "Can you sense any secluded place anywhere near my current location?" Little Black nodded his head as he answered, "About 7 miles towards the east, there is a small lake with a rank 3 double-headed fish hiding inside. There is no magic beast or human anywhere near the lake." Shenlong then followed Little Black's directions and quickly reached the small lake. "Little Black, take care of the double-headed fish then. Also, use your spiritual strength to keep watch around the lake. If anyone comes close, whether a human or magic beast, let me know." "Understood, Master," Little Black responded as he flew out from Shenlong's body and directly headed towards the lake. Little Black stretched his pitch-black wings as the majestic form of a dragon could be seen diving inside the lake, sending a huge current of water up in the sky. The dragon looked just as agile in the water as he looked in the air. The double-headed fish watched in horror as Little Black approached it, and yet in front of a dragon, it couldn't move at all. The battle had no suspense as Little Black used his sharp talons to instantly tear the fish in half. A shiny blue core fell out from the beast's body as Little Black grabbed it with its talons and delivered it to Shun Long. Shun Long looked at the rank 3 beast's core in his hand excitedly, as he put it inside his spiritual space. Then he took a deep breath as he thought. I didn't have the time earlier, but now it's finally time to test the first stage of the Monarch's eternal body. Chapter 58 Monarch Eternal Body's Fearsome Strength. With Little Black keeping watch, Shun Long had nothing to worry about as he stood in front of the lake and decided to test the Monarch's eternal body's might. He had already found out earlier that his speed was simply incomparable to the past. He was outrunning even rank 2 magical beasts at this point. However, what other change had occurred aside from his speed and his external appearance? Shun Long clenched his right fist tightly as he punched in front of him, and an air current traveled through the lake, creating a disturbance in the water's surface. Little Black's eyes shone as he saw this, and he thought inwardly. Master seems to be at the peak of the first stage in body refinement, and yet his punch can rival a full-out blow of an early second stage body cultivator. After throwing that punch, Shun Long stood still and closed his eyes as he stood in front of the lake. Without opening them, he raised his left hand as he threw a downward chop in the air, and the space in the area was suddenly torn. This chop was much stronger than the one he had used back in his room in the floating cloud city. The tear in space was so large that a human could easily fit inside it, but 1/10 of Shun Long's physical energy was sapped to create this. Having experienced this once already, Shun Long didn't put his hand inside the void this time. Instead, he took a step forward as he walked inside the space tear. There was a ripple in the space above the lake, and 10 meters away from Shun Long's original location, Shun Long's body appeared above the lake. Having miscalculated this time, Shun Long fell inside the lake, his body now drenched in water. And yet there was a big smile hanging on his face as he had just figured things out. Little Black's shock was evident as he flew in the air around Shun Long, who was now swimming towards the shore of the lake. Master, how can you tear space open when you haven't even reached the spirit realm? Shun Long was still smiling as he swam over to the shore. He lied down on the grass next to the lake as he looked at Little Black and said, "This is thanks to the Stone of Time's body refining technique, the Monarch's eternal body." Shun Long didn't hide anything from Little Black as he continued. "This was the second time that I tried to tear space open. The first time, the tear in space was very small, and as my hand passed through it, it had appeared just 2 meters away from me. However, this time the tear I created was at the size of a human, and the distance I traveled was 5 times larger than before. This time I could also clearly feel my energy being drained as I was tearing the void open. The larger the tear in space I create and the bigger the distance it covers, the more energy I have to use, it seems." Little Black's astonishment was evident from his expression as he still hadn't recovered. His jaw was slightly trembling as he said, "Master, your affinity with the element of space must be at a very high level for you to be able to tear space open and only have to use such a small amount of energy for it. Usually peak rank 3 spirit realm experts can tear space open just 100 meters away from their original location, but they have to use almost all their chi to do this, while Master can create a tear in space 10 meters away just by using some of your physical energy. This is simply impossible to believe." And yet Shun Long knew that 10 meters wasn't his limit yet. After taking a deep breath, he clenched his fist tightly as he used his full strength to punch the air in front of him. A gust of wind followed after Shun Long's hand, as the space in front of him was once again torn apart. The size of the space tear was the same as the last time, however Little Black could feel a qualitative difference this time around. More than half of Shun Long's strength had been consumed with this move. His body then instantly disappeared, as it appeared again on a patch of grass 45 meters away from his original location. Shunlong then looked at Little Black and pondered seriously for a while. If I used Little Black's strength, no one in the floating cloud sect would probably be a match against him, but Little Black is a dragon after all, and right now he is extremely weak. If his existence is exposed, it's unknown what problems it may bring. If anyone above the middle stages of the spirit realm happens to hear about a black dragon, I doubt that they will let the opportunity go like that. In the end, I shouldn't allow Little Black to reveal his existence unless absolutely necessary. With these thoughts in mind, Shunlong explained to Little Black the situation they were in, as well as everything about the floating cloud sect and the demonic mountain region, as well as the outer sect examination. Little Black returned to the space inside the Stone of Time, but his spiritual strength was scanning everything around Shunlong. Shunlong also stored the rank 3 double-headed fish's body inside the Stone of Time as he asked Little Black if there were any people or beasts around them. Master, in direct proximity of 2 miles around us, there is no human or magic beast. However, there are approximately 400 humans and more than 500 magic beasts in the surrounding 30 miles. From these magic beasts, more than a third of them have already reached rank 2. I also sense a group of humans in a secluded area around 14 miles away from our current location, fighting with a middle stage rank 2 earth bear. Apparently, the bear is protecting a profound earth fruit inside its cave. Chapter 59, Gathering in the Dark. Quickly, lead me there, Shunlong said in a slightly anxious tone. Now that Little Black was inside the Stone of Time's space, Shunlong could directly use his spiritual strength to communicate with him. The reason that he was so anxious wasn't to save those disciples or the earth bear, but instead to obtain the profound earth fruit. There were 3 different ways for Shunlong to advance his monarch's eternal body. The first way was to consume the flesh of higher rank magic beasts. The flesh rank 2 magic beasts or the rank 3 double-headed fish inside the Stone of Time was one such example. The second way was to directly consume rare herbs or fruits like the profound earth fruit or the blood vermilion fruit. Although a big part of the fruit's medicinal efficacy would be wasted this way, it was still more than 100 times faster compared to slowly strengthening the body by eating magical beast's flesh. However, there was an even better and faster way to advance. That would be by first refining the fruits into pills and then consuming them. Although it would be possible for a rank 3 bronze-grade alchemist to refine something like the profound earth fruit into a pill, the same would be absolutely impossible if we swapped the profound earth fruit with a blood vermilion fruit. Although both fruits were rank 3 medicinal ingredients, the profound earth fruit needed at least an alchemist at the rank 3 bronze grade to be refined into a pill, while the blood vermilion fruit needed at least a rank 1 silver grade alchemist to successfully refine it into a pill. And so the third way was the most uncommon of them all. Following Little Black's directions, Shunlong soon arrived at the place where the battle was taking place. There were 5 disciples banded as a group, all of them fighting the earth bear. Of those disciples, 2 of them wore the floating cloud sect's robes while the other 3 were dressed in brown robes, indicating that they were disciples of the iron-hardened sect. It's him, Shunlong thought while he was sitting at the top of a tree watching the fight. One of the 2 disciples that were dressed in yellow robes, was short and had red hair. He had left an impression on Shunlong when he had asked Elder Lu earlier about the first place reward. This person was Guanhong, the peak rank 3 earth grade expert. The other disciple of the floating cloud sect was at the middle stage of rank 1 in the earth grade, while from the 3 disciples of the iron-hardened sect 2 of them were at the middle rank 3, while the only woman in the group was at the early rank 1 in the earth grade. Shunlong wasn't going to let these people take the profound earth fruit now that he knew about it, but the problem was how to take it. Everyone, including the earth bear and the 5 people in their group, were paying attention to the profound earth fruit even while they were fighting. Shunlong could use his teleportation ability to take the fruit and then leave, but he didn't want to expose himself just yet. All of a sudden Little Black's voice was heard in Shunlong's head. "Master, don't be anxious to make a move yet. Did you discover something? Shunlong asked. There is a rank 2 iron-winged eagle 300 meters away from our location and it has set its sights here. Of course it has. The iron-winged eagle is a natural enemy of the earth bear. Now that someone has come to find trouble with it, how could it let this chance go? Aside from the iron-winged eagle there are also 2 little girls who are approaching, around 1 mile away from our east. They will surely stumble upon this fight and I doubt that they will let the profound earth fruit go like that. One of them is at the peak of rank 3 in earth grade while the other one is in the middle rank 3. If the fight kept going for much longer, the number of people who would find out about the existence of the profound earth fruit would increase over and over. Meanwhile, in the fight happening in front of the cave, the 2 middle rank 3 disciples of the iron-hardened sect, as well as Guanhong, were fighting the earth bear head-on, while the girl from the iron-hardened sect and the other disciple from the floating cloud sect were providing support from the distance. The earth bear was very tough as both its offense and defense were balanced. Every time that Guanhong's group attacked it, it defended back with its sharp claws, and every attack that the bear sent, would prove life-threatening if their group didn't dodge in time. Shiqiang, Shishan, if you keep holding back, more and more people will gather after they notice our fight, and taking the profound earth fruit then will be much more difficult than Guanhong shouted at the 2 iron-hardened sect disciples that were fighting with him. These 2 were a pair of brothers, called Shiqiang and Shishan. Although they weren't the strongest in the iron-hardened sect, when the 2 of them were fighting together, they were even slightly stronger than Guanhong. The elder brother of the 2, Shiqiang, who was using a long saber, snorted as he responded. Are you trying to say that you have been going all out by now, Guanhong? If you want us brothers to use our strength for you to take the profound earth fruit for yourself, you must think that we really are naive. After all, even if we brothers used our full strength, we still wouldn't be able to kill this earth bear just by ourselves, or else why would we fight together with you then? The spear-wielding Shishan nodded his head and Guanhong just snorted, but he knew that everything Shiqiang said was the truth. His eyes had turned determined as he looked at the 2 brothers and said, "Distract the earth bear for 10 breaths of time. I need this much time to activate my martial skill. When I use it, you better not hold back either, because that will be our only chance to kill this beast, or else forget about the profound earth fruit." As Guanhong finished speaking, he took out a dagger from his robe and started infusing his qi in it. Meanwhile, a pair of girls dressed in blue robes had also arrived at the scene, their eyes fully focused on the profound earth fruit. Chapter 60 Snatching the Profound Earth Fruit. Everyone, including Shunlong, were startled that Guanhong knew a martial skill. There were plenty yellow-grade cultivation techniques spread around in the mortal world and the cultivation world as well. However, yellow-grade martial skills were much rarer than yellow-grade cultivation techniques. Martial skills were different from cultivation techniques to begin with. Although one needed a cultivation technique to train in and become stronger, martial skills were a cultivator's hidden card as well. Of course, cultivation techniques at the black grade and above weren't freely circulated in the world, but instead were all kept as a tight secret inside every sect. The value of these cultivation techniques was at least on par with black grade martial skills, if not higher. After all, the grade of a cultivation technique would indicate how fast a disciple would progress, while a martial skill was a way for the disciple to protect themselves. The 2 girls that had just arrived on the scene started discussing. "Senior sister, look. That guy over there also knows a martial skill." The shorter one of the 2 girls, who had her hair in 2 small buns, said as she pointed towards Guanhong. The senior sister, however, only glanced at Guanhong once, before turning her sights on the profound earth fruit as she said, "It's only a low yellow-grade martial skill. He requires so much time to prepare for it that if he was fighting the earth bear one-on-one, he would already be dead by now." The senior sister, who was also dressed in blue robes, had a beautiful face and short black hair as well as a slender body. Her boobs were average in size, but her butt was definitely a handful. If one compared her with Liu Ming who Shenlong had met in the Alchemist's Guild, her appearance may be slightly lacking, however, she was still a beauty that was on par with Lan Jingjing. As Shenlong watched the two brothers, Shi Qiang and Shi Shan alternate between themselves trying to draw the Earth Bear's attention, Guanhong had already finished charging up his martial skill. As he had infused a lot of his qi inside his dagger, he shouted, "Flying slash!" As he slashed with his dagger in the air, the qi he had infused became a blade that flew towards the Earth Bear. The bear had already split its attention between fighting Shi Qiang and Shi Shan, as well as defending itself from the occasional attacks from the other two members of this five-man group, while also paying attention to its profound earth fruit at the same time. As Guanhong's attack approached it, it didn't have any time to dodge and tried to defend with its claws, but that was when the pair brothers showed their teamwork as they both attacked the bear toward its eyes and heart simultaneously. The bear could only defend against the brothers' joint attack, as Guanhong's slash hit it straight at its neck, leaving behind a huge cut that had nearly reached the bear's bones. Blood was sent high up in the air as the bear roared in pain. However, thanks to its thick hide, it had survived the hit, although it was now heavily injured. Just when everyone thought that their fight was almost done, a huge screech sounded in the air, as a 2-meter, 6 feet, eagle, with sharp, gray-colored feathers appeared from the sky as it directly chased the Earth Bear. The injured Earth Bear instantly turned to flee as it saw the eagle, completely disregarding everything else at this point. The eagle chased the bear relentlessly around the forest. As everyone's attention turned to the iron-winged eagle who was chasing the Earth Bear, Shenlong, who was waiting for this chance, instantly opened a space tier as he appeared next to the profound earth fruit. It only took a moment for him to appear inside the cave, snatch the fruit and then open another spatial tier to leave the cave from the other side. However, just as he was about to leave, the senior sister from the Roaring Wind Pavilion had then screamed, "The profound earth fruit!" Everyone's attention immediately turned to the cave, as they saw Shenlong, who had his back turned on them, disappear inside the spatial tier. Although they saw his yellow robes, which betrayed that he was a disciple of the Floating Cloud sect, they couldn't see anything else, as he had suddenly vanished into thin air. "No, my profound earth fruit!" Both the senior sister and Guanhong shouted at the same time. Guanhong's group had suffered the biggest loss this time, as they had been the ones who had first discovered the fruit and injured the Earth Bear as well, only for someone else to play the fisherman and steal their spoils from underneath their nose. Guanhong's eyes were spitting fire as he looked at the blue-robed senior sister who had just claimed that the profound earth fruit belonged to her. Since the person who stole it had disappeared into nothing, Guanhong's group had nowhere to vent their anger to. Now, as if they had suddenly found an outlet for their pent-up emotions, their group of five eyed the pair of female disciples from the Raging Wind Pavilion. "Who are you?" Guanhong and the Shi brothers asked threateningly as they surrounded the two girls. The senior sister ignored them as she turned to leave, however Guanhong blocked her path as he said, "No matter who you are, if you want to leave, you will also leave behind your survival points." Anger clouded the senior sister's eyes as her peak rank 3 aura exploded as she attacked Guanhong, and a fierce battle of 2 versus 5 started. Meanwhile, Shenlong, who had just appeared 30 meters away from the other side of the cave, could now hear the fight that had broken out. Directly leaving the scene, Shenlong sent his spiritual strength inside the Stone of Time to inspect the profound earth fruit before heading towards the deeper parts of the demonic mountain region. Chapter 61 Requirements. It was unknown if Shenlong's luck was good or bad, but not long after he left the Earth Bear's cave, an early rank 2 silver-haired fox attacked him. Without using any of his qi, just by relying on the monarch's eternal body's strength, Shenlong sent a full-powered punch towards the fox's ribcage. Although the silver-haired fox also managed to bite Shenlong's hand before the punch had connected, Shenlong only felt a sting before the fox was sent flying towards the nearby trees. As a rank 2 magic beast, the silver-haired fox had expected its teeth to tear through the human's arm without a problem. However, Shenlong's body was extremely durable and the fox didn't even last one punch before it was heavily injured. At this point, unless a magic beast had some sort of natural weapon, like the iron-winged eagle's sharp wings, they probably wouldn't be a match for Shun Long, unless the beast had reached the middle level of rank 2. This outer sect examination truly is a survival test. You may die at any moment if you aren't careful here, Shun Long thought. After killing the silver-haired fox and storing its body, he then headed deeper inside the demonic mountain region. Master, there are plenty of rank 2 beasts in this area, Little Black warned. Shun Long was more than 50 miles away from the demonic mountain region's entrance by now, and the more he walked the more he noticed how the rank 2 magic beasts around him had started to increase in number. However, with Little Black scanning the area around him, he didn't have anything to worry about, as he avoided the magic beasts that were at the middle stage of rank 2 and above. Night soon arrived and Shun Long jumped on top of a tree when he heard Little Black's voice inside his head. Master, I feel that as we are heading deeper inside this demonic mountain region, the chi around us is becoming purer compared to when we were still on the outskirts. Shun Long nodded his head as he too had discovered this earlier. As he activated the Monarch's hourglass, his chi balls were being refined faster than usual. Did you find out the reason behind this change? Little Black shook his head before replying. There is definitely something extraordinary deeper in this demonic mountain region, or the density of the chi in the air wouldn't have changed for no reason. Then with a joyous voice Little Black said, Master, the rank 2 blood wolves that we were looking for earlier have now appeared almost 4 miles away from our east. Elated, Shun Long stood up and followed Little Black's directions as he quickly headed towards the wolves' location. The blood wolves were magic beasts that always hunted in packs, and it wouldn't be easy to kill them, but their hearts as well as their beast cores were important to Shun Long, who wanted to refine the profound earth fruit into a pill. After a short while, Shun Long had arrived in front of a valley where 5 early rank 2 blood wolves had encircled a small group of blue-robed disciples. There were 4 people in this group, 1 man and 3 women, each of them covering each other's back so the blood wolves wouldn't pick them off one by one. Shun Long could sense that the strongest among these disciples was the good-looking young man with the blue sword in his hand, who was at the early rank 3 in earth grade, while the 3 women's strength was only at the early rank 2 in earth grade. Just as he was about to sit at a tree and wait until the blood wolves had tired themselves with this group of disciples from the Roaring Wind Pavilion, Shun Long's mind had a sudden idea as he looked at this group of 4 people before he walked towards them. As soon as the good-looking young man noticed Shun Long, he waved his hand as he screamed, "Brother, please help us!" He was fighting off 3 wolves on his own while the 3 young women behind him were also struggling to contain the 2 wolves that were left for them. Shun Long then looked at the young man whose body was riddled with bites and claw marks as he asked bluntly, "What will I get if I help you?" Both the young man and the 3 young women were stunned. "Right? Why will he risk his life to help us?" The young man then gritted his teeth as he said determinedly, "We can give you 4 survival points." But Shun Long just shook his head at this suggestion as he responded, "Won't I be able to get your survival points if I just let the blood wolves kill you? I will also be able to get all your possessions by then." The young man was shocked at Shun Long's bluntness, but he knew that his words were correct. He then asked in a frantic voice, "What do you want then?" "I want the 4 survival points as well, American Samoa, the blood wolves' hearts and beast cores." As soon as they heard Shun Long's demands, all 4 of them were furious as the girls were the first to scream, "Impossible!" The young man also shook his head as he said, "I can concede and also give you the blood wolves' hearts along with the 4 survival points, but I need the beast cores as well as the wolves' pelts." Shun Long shook his head at this group's greed as he turned and walked away. While he may have sounded to be asking for too much, the truth was that if he didn't help them, not only would these people have no chance to kill the blood wolves by themselves, but at least 3 of them, if not their entire group, would end up dead here. As the young man in blue robes saw that Shun Long was leaving, he gritted his teeth as he shouted, "Wait!" He then took a deep breath as he continued, "If you can really help us, then you can take 3 of the beast cores as well." Chapter 62 You Don't Know. Shun Long thought for a moment, before nodding his head as he unleashed his aura of an early rank 8 chi condensation cultivator. Before the young man and the three young girls had any time to get angry at this chi condensation rookie who had been playing them for so long, Shun Long had already arrived behind a blood wolf as he gathered his chi in his right hand and punched towards the wolf's back. As Shun Long's fist connected with the wolf's spine, a cracking sound was heard as the wolf whimpered before it collapsed on the ground, and after twitching for a while, it stopped breathing entirely. The group of disciples from the Roaring Wind Pavilion were shocked, when the young man was the first to recover as he shouted, "Careful!" As one of the three women was still absorbed watching Shun Long kill the wolf, another one had appeared above her head as its sharp claws headed straight towards her neck. The girl screamed and turned to run, but the wolf's claws had ripped off the robes on her back as a bloody imprint of a huge claw was left on her skin. This girl instantly passed out, while the rest of the blood wolves had suddenly turned frenzied as they smelled the scent of blood from this young woman. Shun Long, who had just killed one of the three blood wolves that were attacking the young man, saw what happened and rushed to kill the other two wolves which were now madly attacking the two girls. His speed was extremely fast as he had arrived in front of the two wolves in less than 2 breaths, before he ruthlessly kicked with his left foot in a sweeping manner, towards one of the two wolves' front legs. A cracking sound was heard as the wolf's front legs were broken, and before it had much time to react, one of the two girls used her sword as she stabbed its head. As this wolf died, the other one was also taken care of quickly, before Shun Long turned to help the young man who was fighting off two wolves with his sword. The hunters had turned into prey as the wolves tried to escape, but in a 2 against 4, their heads were soon chopped off by the sword-wielding young man. As soon as the fight was over, the 3 disciples of the Roaring Wind Pavilion quickly rushed to help the young woman whose back was injured by the blood wolf and was now unconscious. After they made sure that she was going to be all right, the young man looked at Shun Long as he said, "Thank you for your help, brother." Shun Long just shook his head though as he replied, "It was a mutual exchange." Just as the young man was about to speak, one of the two girls looked at him as she whispered, "Senior brother, are we really going to give him the wolf's cores along with our survival points? No matter how strong he may be, he is just a chi condensation rookie in the end. If we all fight against him then maybe we can." Shun Long's eyes turned chilly as he heard this, and he turned to look at this woman with undisguised killing intent. Now that he had saved them, this woman wanted them to go back on their word. The woman staggered back a few steps as her face paled when she thought of how brutally Shun Long had killed the blood wolves just now. Contrary to her wishes though, the young man headed towards Shun Long as he cupped his hands before he handed the survival points that he had promised. After that, he turned his head to speak to the woman who had whispered to him just now as he answered with anger obvious in his voice, "Since we promised something, it's only proper to hold our own end of the deal as well." The woman hanged her head dejected as she replied in a weak voice, "Yes, senior brother, Fei Fang was wrong." Shun Long was impressed by this man's forthrightness as he nodded at him before he turned to remove the wolves' hearts and beast cores. Among the 5 wolves, they found 4 beast cores, while the last wolf hadn't formed one yet. However, as per their agreement, Shun Long took 3 of the cores for himself as he left the other one for them. Just as he was about to leave, the young man from the Raging Wind Pavilion asked, "Brother, judging from your robes, you must be a disciple from the Floating Cloud sect, correct?" Shun Long nodded his head as the man continued by cupping his hands. "My name is Yang Ru and these 3 are my junior sisters from the Roaring Wind Pavilion. They are Fei Fang, Mingzhu, and Xiao Lian. Please forgive Fei Fang as she is still immature. May I ask for brother's name?" Although Shun Long was just a chi condensation cultivator, Yang Ru, who had witnessed his strength, actually considered him to be a peak rank 3 earth cultivator who was seemingly hiding his true strength for some reason. "My name is Shun Long." Shun Long also cupped his hands at Yang Ru. Yang Ru tried to think, but he didn't seem to have heard about any strong disciple from the Floating Cloud sect with this name. He then put that matter on the back of his mind as he continued. To tell the truth, Brother Shun, me and my junior sisters are heading towards the central mountain. If Brother Shun is also heading there, perhaps we could travel together. Based on Shun Long's extraordinary strength, Yang Ryu knew that their journey would be a lot safer if he joined them. Central Mountain. Shun Long was perplexed as he hadn't heard anything about a specific mountain in the demonic mountain region. Brother Shun doesn't know. Yang Ryu asked, bewildered as he started explaining. Well, it isn't really a secret anyway. The demonic mountain region covers a vast distance of more than 5,000 miles. Among those 5,000 miles, there is a large number of mountains. However, the most important of them all is the one at the center of this region, the Central Mountain. Chapter 63, Unable to Hide. Around the Central Mountain, there are also many other mountains, and most of them are filled with priceless treasures, Yang Ryu said in a tone filled with desire. Shun Long felt that something was wrong as he asked. If there are so many treasures around the Central Mountain, then why haven't they all been picked by the various sect elders, or at the very least the disciples who were here at the previous sect examination tests? Yang Ryu shook his head as he said. Your words are slightly wrong here, Brother Shun. Actually, this involves a big secret that my grandfather told me. My grandfather is an elder in the Roaring Wind Pavilion, and in the past, he and some other elders followed the pavilion master inside the demonic mountain region to pick these very treasures. That day, a terrifying magic beast at the peak of rank 4 emerged from the central mountain, and as it attacked them, barely half of their group managed to escape that day, while the rest of them perished. Ever since that day, no one above the Earth grade has stepped foot inside the demonic mountain region, in fear of being attacked by this magic beast. That is why this region is now used as the examination ground by our sections. As for the mountains around the central mountain with their priceless treasures, all of them are guarded by magic beasts who are at least in the middle of rank 3 if not higher, hence why no one has managed to obtain any treasures from them. However, the chi coming from the central mountain is much thicker than the chi inside any of our 4 sects, and that's the reason why every sect believes that there is a huge secret inside the central mountain. However, with a peak rank 4 magic beast standing guard. As Yang Ryu finished speaking, he sighed as he thought of the many unobtainable treasures that they couldn't be able to get their hands on. However, there is also a bout of good fortune even for us. Every 30 years, the central mountain erupts with pure chi, that enriches the atmosphere in the demonic mountain region. The closer you are to the central mountain during the eruption, the more benefits you would be able to obtain if you manage to absorb the pure chi. As Yang Ryu finished speaking, Shun Long said. And yet, the closer you are to the central mountain, the bigger the danger to meet a high-rank magic beast, right? That is why I asked Brother Shun if you wanted to come with us. We can better protect each other until we find a place to hide near the central mountain, while we will wait for the chi eruption to start. Shun Long nodded his head at Yang Ryu's words as he said. Traveling together doesn't sound so bad. We can at least go together until we reach the perimeter of the central mountain. Everyone in the group was excited to hear that Shun Long would be joining them, as they would now have another strong person to rely on. Haha, thank you, Brother Shun. With you in our team, it will be an even more enjoyable journey. Shun Long smiled, as he had already formed a favorable opinion of Yang Ryu earlier, as he now asked. Right, I have a question. Won't the sects care if a disciple somehow manages to find a priceless treasure near the central mountain? How could they not care? Even if a disciple finds something precious, how are they going to hide it without a spatial ring? When we leave the demonic mountain region, the elders will check all the disciples for treasures, and they will of course offer to recompensate the disciples with sect points if they have found anything valuable. In other words, if you find something precious, you won't have a chance to hide it from the eyes of the sect, and you would be practically forced to exchange it for sect points. Unless of course, a disciple has a spatial ring. Disciples at the early Earth grade who have spatial rings, usually belong to the large families, and the sects won't strain their position with those families if it's not for a good reason. However, if the treasure is important enough, then of course anything can happen. Shunlong smiled as he cupped his hands and thanked Yang Ryu. However, deep inside, he started detesting the four sections. So the disciples would be forced to risk their lives in the outer sect examination, and yet if they find something they would have to give it to the sect in exchange for sect points whether they like it or not. The sect would also make sure that the disciples would be searched in case they tried to hide something from them. As Shunlong thought of this, his opinion of the floating cloud sect drastically dropped. Since it was already nighttime, their group decided to camp here for the night before heading towards the central mountain in the morning. Grouping around, Yang Ryu started a small fire as they began to cook the blood wolf's meat. "Senior brother, won't the magic beasts around us be attracted by the fire?" The girl who had her robes torn earlier, had now changed in a new set as she asked Yang Ryu nervously. Shunlong shook his head while Yang Ryu smiled and answered. "When the blood wolves die, their bodies emit a poisonous substance, and if another magic beast below the rank 3 consumes them, they will most likely die from this poison. However, by cooking the wolves' meat, the poison is excreted along with the fat of the wolves, leaving behind the purest of their meat. Hence, no beast below the rank 2 would come close after smelling the blood of the blood wolves, so this could also be considered the best form of protection for us." Shunlong nodded his head at Yang Ryu's explanation. He was impressed as pretty much everything he had said was correct. It seemed that Yang Ryu was very well prepared for the sect exam. "But senior brother, what if a rank 3 magic beast spots us? Are rank 3 magic beasts that idle that they would be casually roaming outside their territories for no reason?" Yang Ryu asked in return, when suddenly, the excited voice of a man could be heard around 100 meters away from their group as it shouted, "Boss, we found some more prey." Chapter 64 Killers. As this voice was heard, 2 young men followed behind a huge burly man. They were all wearing brown robes, indicating that they were disciples from the iron-hardened sect. The burly man in the front was over 2 meters, 6.5 feet, tall, and his fingers were dripping with blood, while the other 2 behind him also had blood all over their robes. At that moment, the young man behind the huge burly man shouted, "Look boss, they even prepared food for us." "Ah, you are right Xiaoli, what a good first day we had. First we killed those ants from the floating cloud sect and gathered so many survival points, and now there is food and even beauties to keep us company. The boss is right, there are 3 of us and there are just 3 beauties, 1 for each of us, ha 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 ha. Little beauties, you should obediently listen to our boss, or you won't be the first women to die by his hands today." "That's right. If you are obedient, our boss will definitely let you live." Shunlong's eyes slightly narrowed while the 3 girls rushed to hide behind him and Yang Ryu. Yang Ryu faced the burly man as he said in a bold tone, "Who do you think you are to dare speak to us like this?" The man named Xiaoli then looked at Yang Ryu mockingly as he replied, "Punk, who do you think you are to talk to boss like that? If you are sensible, you will quickly hand over your survival points before scramming." The boss though looked at the other young man beside him as he said, "Xiaowan, Xiaoli, just take care of these punks quickly." After he gave this order, the burly man started walking towards the food. "Of course boss." Both Xiaowan and Xiaoli immediately responded as they slowly walked towards Shunlong and Yang Ryu. "Senior brother." The 3 girls shouted, but Yang Ryu looked at them and said, "Just stay back, you can't help here." Yang Ryu had noticed that these 2 men's auras were at the same level as him, the early rank 3 in Earth grade, that's why he just told the 3 women to stay back. Xiaoli didn't immediately start to fight and instead looked at Shunlong as he said, "You will be the 3rd person I kill today. Too bad that you didn't cherish the opportunity to give up your survival point and flee while you had the chance, kid. But you can still be considered lucky to be killed by me. If the boss had decided to kill you guys, you wouldn't be dying as easily, while I will make sure to give you a quick death in return. Xiao Wan and Xiao Li then, both unleashed their auras at the early stage of rank 3 Earth grade. Xiao Wan fought with Yang Ryu while Xiao Li was holding a saber as he rushed towards Shun Long with a big smile on his face. Shun Long immediately activated the Monarch's hourglass followed by the Monarch's domain as everything around him went still. In a sphere around Shun Long, time was frozen. Inside the Monarch's domain, Shun Long was king. Unless the discrepancy in cultivation was too big or a person had some kind of secret technique, no one could move inside the Monarch's domain. Not just Xiao Li, but even Xiao Wan and Yang Ryu along with the three girls, everyone was now in a frozen-like state. It wasn't just their bodies that couldn't move, even their thoughts were all frozen. The Monarch's domain had grown even stronger after Shun Long had advanced into the 8th rank in Qi condensation. The boss was the only one who could somewhat move his body and thoughts, but even he was extremely slow under the suppression of the Monarch's domain, as he turned his horrified eyes towards Shun Long. Shun Long, who was now at the early rank 8 in Qi condensation, could render an early rank 3 Earth grade cultivator, absolutely helpless. Even their boss, who was at the middle of rank 3 in Earth grade, was heavily affected by the suppression. Xiao Li's face was still frozen with that smile on his face as Shun Long walked towards him. Shun Long had arrived in front of him as he spoke in a low voice, even though he knew that Xiao Li couldn't hear him. Unfortunately for you, I won't be the third person that you kill today. After that, Shun Long's hand was clenched in a tight fist as he punched ferociously towards Xiao Li's abdomen. That was the place where a person's dantian was at. The place where Xiao Li held all his qi and cultivated from. Shun Long's heavy punch went through Xiao Li's body as it completely shattered his dantian. Then he turned his head to look at the boss, who was still struggling under the heavy suppression of the Monarch's domain, as he said, "Although I don't consider myself some kind of hero, thanks to you I can now see the truth. This is just a survival test and a dog-eat-dog world after all. You have killed people on your first day here just because you wanted to do so. I was so immersed in the mentality from Earth, that I had almost forgotten that people attacked me outside of the Blue Forest that day. I almost forgot that punk Xiao Shitu threatened to break my limbs inside the Imperial Palace. Threatening to kill me again and again. I guess this is the true cultivation world." After Shun Long finished speaking, he walked towards this man step by step as he slowly approached him. "That's right, master. This is the world of cultivation after all. When I was born, people tried to kill me again and again, just because they were stronger than me. While you shouldn't become like those people, you still shouldn't be afraid of killing those that threaten your life." Little Black's voice sounded inside Shun Long's mind. Shun Long looked at the man in front of him whom these people called the boss, and his eyes narrowed as he told him, "From the first moment I saw you walking here, I knew what kind of person you are. You walked with your hands filled with blood, acting so proud while you boasted of the disciples that you had just killed before you stole their survival points. Don't misunderstand, I am not doing this for justice or because I care about those that you have killed. It's simply because in my eyes, scum like you just doesn't deserve to live." Chapter 65 Killing. Warning, this chapter may contain slight gore. Readers who can't handle gory scenes should be careful. The burly man could sense Shun Long's killing intention. His voice was resolute as he sounded like there was nothing that would stop him from killing this man. Shun Long looked at the man right in the eyes as he said, "Prepare yourself." He himself also took a deep breath as he tried to calm his breathing that had turned somewhat erratic. Despite everything else, Shun Long still hadn't killed a man in his life. He has killed magic beasts, but beasts only act on instinct, not intelligence. They either kill you or you kill them. But killing a man was different. There were two types of killers. People who killed wantonly and people who killed with a goal and reason in their minds. In the end, no cultivator could escape from the cycle of killing. To advance in life, you must step on someone else. Wait. Do you know who I am? I am Wang Huo from the iron-hardened sect. The burly man could sense Shenlong's disturbance in his frame of mind as he quickly tried to take advantage of it. If Yang Ryu could hear this man's name, he would definitely be startled. It was too bad that he was under the suppression of the monarch's domain and couldn't even sense that time had stopped around him. Shenlong just shook his head as he tightly clenched his right hand. As the monarch's eternal body provided abundant energy, Shenlong sent a punch at Wang Huo, straight at the temple. No. You can't kill me. Wang Huo screamed terrified as he saw the approaching punch but couldn't escape fast enough due to the restrictions of the monarch's domain. As the punch connected with his temple, Wang Huo's head exploded like a watermelon as his body was then sent spinning through the air. Blood filled Shenlong's right hand and robes, as brain matter splattered all over the ground. Shenlong watched this scene and his hands started to tremble. The scene of Wang Huo screaming before he died reverberated in his ears for a good while. Shenlong took a few deep breaths, as if trying to digest the whole scene and calm his rapid heartbeats when Little Black's voice was heard in his head. Master, don't think too much into it. Killing is part of the natural cycle. It's the same whether it involves animals, magic beasts, or humans. Animals kill each other to survive, whether it is for food or because they feel threatened. Magic beasts kill everything that they encounter to consume their flesh and become stronger. They don't differentiate between humans, animals, or even other magic beasts. Humans are the same as well. They kill animals and magic beasts for food, while they kill other humans for countless reasons, whether that involves a personal feud, treasures, and many other reasons. This is the life of cultivators, stepping through countless corpses as they walk forward. Shenlong found himself slightly lost in Little Black's words. After all, the mental impact of when you kill a person the first time doesn't go away that easily. However, the more he thought about it, the more he found that Little Black's words made sense. Although his soul originally belonged to this world before it was split into 3 parts, it was only now, after killing Wang Huo, that Shenlong had started to truly accept this world. The mental barriers in his heart had now started to slowly unshackle themselves. Shenlong then stopped the monarch's domain, and a scream that sounded like a pig being butchered was heard. Xiaowan and Yang Ryu, who were heading towards each other, suddenly turned their heads to look at the source of the scream, only to see Xiaoli sprawled on the ground unable to move. No! Xiaowan rushed to Xiaoli's side as he supported him while Xiaoli was still screaming in pain. Brother, what happened to you? Xiaowan asked anxiously, but Xiaoli didn't reply. He couldn't reply. The pain from having your dantian shattered was both a mental and a physical torture, beyond what most humans could endure. At the same time, another scream was heard, this time from behind Yang Ryu. Yang Ryu turned around and saw his junior sister, Qiaolian, staring at something with frozen eyes. Yang Ryu and his other 2 junior sisters also followed her line of vision, only to see a headless corpse dressed in the iron-hardened sex robes lying on the ground. Shocked, Yang Ryu's eyes looked around searching for Shenlong, only to see him sitting on a patch of grass with his eyes closed, as blood dyed his robes and his right hand. This headless corpse obviously belonged to the leader of the enemy's group, Wang Huo. Yang Ryu didn't ask anything and instead turned his head to look at the 3 girls behind him. As if in tacit understanding, the girls followed Yang Ryu as they encircled Xiaowan, who was still trying to calm the screaming Xiaoli. Earlier, the 3 girls at the early stage of rank 2 would be completely useless in such a fight, but now, surrounding just the early rank 3 earth grade Xiaowan and the crippled Xiaoli, they could definitely turn the tables on them. Xiaowan looked around warily as he saw the 4 of them surrounding him and his brother, and he asked in an angry voice that tried to conceal his fear. What do you want? What did you do to my brother? If you don't answer, I will kill you all. Yang Ryu and the 3 girls who had now surrounded this pair of brothers, all looked at Xiaowan disdainfully as Yang Ryu was the one who spoke. Even I can see from here that your brother's dantian has shattered, Don't tell me that you haven't noticed it yet. Xiao Wan's face paled as he shouted. Bo boss! Save me! As he screamed, Xiao Wan turned his head around to plead for help from Wang Huo, but when he saw the headless corpse behind him, his head almost blanked out. Chapter 66 Death and Aftermath. Be Bo boss us. How? How is this possible? Xiao Wan's eyes had turned frantic, as despair started gripping his heart. He knew that even if he was stronger than Yang Ru 1 versus 1, he couldn't win against him combined with the three girls that surrounded him. As for wondering how his brother got crippled and his boss died, he had no idea, while his frame of mind just couldn't process that information right now. His only goal was to escape as far as he could. He turned his eyes to look at Yang Ru as he said in a pleading tone. Please, let us leave. We will give you our survival points and everything else we have. Please. Xiao Wan was practically begging at this point, and Shun Long, who had just heard him, opened his eyes from the distance as he watched the scene coldly. Yang Ru looked at Xiao Wan with cold eyes. Although he didn't want to kill a man who was begging for his life, he didn't have many options right now. These people didn't just want to take their survival points earlier, they also wanted to kill them, and even rape his junior sisters. He simply couldn't allow people like them to live, now that they are in a bad spot, even if they are begging for their lives. Kill! Yang Ru shouted as he and the three girls attacked Xiao Wan. Yang Ru, who was brandishing his sword, was enough to keep Xiao Wan at bay. However, now that the three young women were also added into the mix, Xiao Wan quickly found himself caught in a bad situation. Yang Ru's attacks were all-powerful and his sword was extremely sharp, while each one of the girls was holding a small dagger as they looked for opportune moments to attack. Xiao Wan quickly found himself riddled with injuries as Yang Ru's sword had left deep cuts in his body. His arms, legs, and even his face were already injured. After an incense stick of time, Xiao Wan could no longer keep up against the heavy barrage of attacks and finally turned to retreat. As he parried away Yang Ru's sword with his own and looked to escape, a dagger was suddenly plunged in his back, as it reached all the way inside him until it pierced his heart. Blood filled Fei Fang's hands as she pulled the dagger out of Xiao Wan's body. Xiao Wan's eyes turned dull and unfocused, as his breathing grew weaker and weaker. He couldn't even turn his head to look at the face of his killer, as he collapsed on the ground, a pool of blood forming underneath his body. Yang Ru threw a last look at Xiao Wan's body, before turning his head to look at Xiaoli, whose screaming had just stopped after he heard a loud bang and saw his brother's body fall to the ground. Shun Long was watching everything from the distance as he saw Yang Ru walking towards Xiaoli step by step. Xiaoli wanted to speak, but his fear had overtaken his reason. His mouth made inaudible sounds as he saw Yang Ru raising his sword and slashing it towards his neck. His head rolled off from his body as a fountain of blood spurted from his neck. The headless corpse rolled on the ground before it finally stopped moving. Shun Long watched everything as he observed the cruelty of this world and mumbled in his head. I was right. It won't matter if you beg, it won't matter if you cried, it won't matter if you are right or wrong, it won't even matter if you are good or evil. In the end, the only thing that matters is who will be stronger. The floating cloud sect is stronger than its disciples, so it can afford to take everything for them without an explanation, and just give them sect points if they want to. These people too thought that they were stronger, so they decided to rob everything from us, including our lives, without an explanation. Yet now that the situation changed, Yang Ru, who was stronger than them, got to decide the two brothers' life and death. There isn't even a need for explanations or reasoning. The strong live and prosper while the weak kneel and get stepped on, or they die. Master, do you think that's cruel? No, I understand this world now. There is only one rule: if you don't want to get trampled on, become stronger. If Wang Huo was stronger than me, I also would have died. After Shun Long finished speaking to Little Black, he stood up as he walked towards Wang Huo's body. There was a red jade just like his own sect-identifying jade near Wang Huo's chest. Shunlong grabbed it and sent his spiritual strength inside it, only to be extremely surprised. There were 13 survival points inside it. Aside from the survival points, he also found 2 early rank 2 magic beast cores inside a small bag. After absorbing them inside the Stone of Time, Shunlong walked towards Yang Ryu and the 3 girls. Seeing the fresh blood in his right hand and robes, the 4 of them were perplexed and Yang Ryu couldn't help asking. "Are you okay, brother Shun? What happened to you?" None of them could understand how Shunlong had suddenly got injured. "I am fine, how about you guys?" Shunlong shook his head as he responded. "Thankfully, no one got hurt." "Yang Ryu exclaimed. Yang Ryu still thought that Shunlong had somehow gotten hurt, but he didn't want to explain it so that he wouldn't embarrass himself. Yang Ryu tacitly stopped mentioning it, but after turning his head to look at the headless corpse of Wang Huo, his voice started trembling as he asked with dread evident in his eyes. "Brother Shun, do you have any idea what happened earlier? How is it possible for their boss to have been killed in a split second, and for that Xiaoli to be also crippled?" Chapter 67 Regions. In his mind, Yang Ryu didn't even connect the death of Wang Huo directly to Shunlong. Although Shunlong was strong, he couldn't kill someone in the blink of an eye. Especially someone as strong as Wang Huo, even if he was at the peak of rank 3 in Earth grade. However, since he was quite a bit stronger than Yang Ryu, perhaps Shunlong should have noticed some clues. At least that's what Yang Ryu had assumed. Shunlong just shook his head at Yang Ryu's question though. Obviously, he wouldn't admit that he was the one who did it. Keeping his trump cards hidden was extremely important. In the past, when he had used the Monarch's domain inside the Imperial Palace, the pressure from it was truly similar to the pulverizing gravity art from the mortal world. However, after advancing to rank 8 in Qi condensation, the Monarch's domain had also evolved. What it exhibited wasn't just pressure like it did in the past, but a type of temporal restriction that stopped everything around Shunlong. It was almost as if Shunlong only had access to an elementary part of the technique at the start, and it was becoming stronger as he advanced in his cultivation. Yang Ryu and the 3 girls were disappointed after seeing Shunlong's reaction. If even he hadn't seen anything, then they wouldn't know what happened. How terrifying would it be to have an enemy that can kill you without knowing when or how you were attacked? Yang Ryu then took out 2 red sect-identifying jades as he said. "Right? These guys also had 7 survival points on them. To tell you the truth, brother, me and my junior sisters are attending the sect examination for 2 reasons. The first is to take advantage of the qi that will erupt from the central mountain, to advance our cultivation, while the second reason is to try and find a hell flower for my grandfather. We know that it's impossible to get to the top 100 spots with just our strength, so we don't aim to gather survival points at all. My grandfather is an elder in the Roaring Wind Pavilion, and the measly amount of 10 or 100 sect points is useless to main anyway." As Yang Ryu finished speaking, he handed the sect-identifying jades to Shunlong. Shunlong didn't refuse and instead said, "Thank you. If we do find a hell flower, I will help you obtain it. However, I don't think it's going to be that easy to find one." No, how could these 7 survival points match up to the value of a rank 3 spiritual herb like the hell flower? Shunlong however shook his head and didn't respond. Yang Ryu had treated him sincerely and had shared with him a lot valuable information. If they were going to find a hell flower, then Shunlong would really do his best to help him obtain it. However, as a rank 3 spiritual herb, the hell flower was usually guarded by rank 3 magic beasts which were equal to heaven-grade cultivators, and it was an issue whether there was a hell flower in the demonic mountain region in the first place. As Shunlong extracted the survival points from the 2 sect-identifying jades of Xiaoli and Xiaowan, as well as counting Wang Huo's 13 survival points that he had obtained before and the 5 that Shunlong already had, he had now gathered 25 survival points. After throwing away the sect jades, Shunlong and the rest finally started eating the blood wolf's meat. This meat is so tasty. Yes, senior brother, we should eat this wolf meat more often. I agree, senior brother, this is so good. As the three girls were praising the taste of the meat, Shunlong could even sense that his body had started to slowly absorb the energy inside it. Chi cultivators could also use the energy inside the meat of magic beasts to replenish their chi faster, but it wouldn't help them advance in cultivation. However, it was completely different for body refinement cultivators. Shunlong could sense that although minimal, his body was slowly becoming stronger as he consumed the magic beast meat. Yang Ryu just smiled at the three girls' words as he asked, "Was it that easy for us to kill this group of blood wolves?" The three girls' faces turned red from embarrassment. If they weren't lucky enough to meet Shunlong earlier, they wouldn't be eating blood wolves' meat, but instead the wolves would be having a grand feast right now. Yang Ryu was still smiling as he saw the three embarrassed girls and said, "Don't worry, if I manage to advance 2 more minor stages and reach the peak of rank 3 in Earth grade, then we can hunt for blood wolves without any problems." Then Yang Ryu's eyes turned serious as he said, "This will probably be the last time that we will get to be so relaxed in the sect exam. From now on we will have to be more careful, as we will soon enter the inner regions of the demonic mountain region." "Senior brother, what do you mean by inner region?" Mingzhu asked as everyone's attention was on Yang Ryu. "My grandfather told me that the demonic mountain region is split into 3 main parts. The outer region where we are right now, the inner region where we will soon enter, and the most dangerous of them all where few people enter and even fewer survive, the central region where the central mountain lies. The outer region is the weakest, where you will only find rank 1 magic beasts, or at worst, early rank 2 magic beasts roaming around. There are of course some very rare places in the outer region, where even higher rank magic beasts reside, but they will usually stay in their territories and you should avoid provoking them at all costs. However, the inner region is completely different. One wrong step in there, and our entire group is dead." Chapter 68, Heading Towards the Inner Region. One wrong step in there and our entire group is dead. Although the demonic mountain region covered a vast distance of over 5,000 miles, the biggest problem was the many magic beasts that were increasing in strength as they walked deeper inside the region, so they had to proceed with caution. The three girls sucked in a cold breath while Shunlong had already estimated that even without Yang Ryu's warning. "Senior brother, are the magic beasts in the inner region that much stronger compared to the outer region?" Fei Fang asked nervously. The outer region could only be considered a playground if you compared it with the inner region. Not only are most of the beasts at the middle stage of rank 2 or higher, but there is a possibility that we will even meet rank 3 magic beasts in there. Then, senior brother, how about we don't? Yang Ryu cut her off as he said, "Even though it's dangerous, the deeper we go inside the demonic mountain region, the bigger the benefits we will be able to obtain from the chi eruption of the central mountain. Don't worry, there is also a safe place in the inner region as well." The three girls' eyes darted between each other as they looked at Yang Ryu pleadingly, who then sighed as he asked, "Why did you even want to come along if you are that afraid? You can just stay in the outer region if that's the case. Me and brother Shun can just go to the inner region by ourselves. But it's true that there is a safe place. Almost every disciple who makes it to the inner region will probably gather there to rest and take shelter as they wait for the chi eruption to start." The three girls hanged their heads low in embarrassment. Yang Ryu had probably seen through their intentions already. Before they entered the demonic mountain region, the three girls had insisted on following Yang Ryu inside, in order to form a better relationship with him and hopefully, rely on him when they returned back to the Roaring Wind Pavilion. But now, after hearing about the dangers in the inner region, and after they were almost killed twice in the first day in the outer region, these girls no longer had the courage to follow Shunlong and Yang Ryu inside. Shunlong sighed inside with disappointment. No matter what, In the end, not only did the three girls forget that Yang Ryu had fought for them twice already today, but they also chose to abandon him now that they learned of the dangers inside. Master, don't be disappointed. Such is human nature. Not many people are willing to do things that will put their lives in danger. I understand. Yang Ryu needs to search for a hell flower, and he also wants to absorb the chi from the central mountain, while these girls only wanted to rely on him. Now that their goals don't align, or should I say, now that they don't consider the benefits good enough to risk their lives over, they decided to abandon him. Shunlong shook his head as he left that scene and climbed atop of a tree to cultivate for the night. Yang Ryu had a ridiculing smile on his face as he said, I was such a fool to not understand earlier the reason that you wanted to travel together. You truly understand a person only when you are in a difficult situation. After all, everyone can add flowers to a brocade, but few people will actually send charcoal during the snow. Let us part ways here then. Senior brother Yang. As he finished speaking, Yang Ryu walked in the distance as he too climbed on a tree near Shunlong and closed his eyes. Dejected, the three girls didn't have any reason to stay around as they left towards the outskirts of the region. Yang Ryu opened his eyes as he saw them walking away and thought that if they were lucky, they would find a place to peacefully wait out the period of 1 month, until the sect examination ends. After a few hours, the sun soon rose and the morning rays warmed Shunlong's body as he opened his eyes. His cultivation was slowly advancing towards the middle of the rank 8 in chi condensation. It would probably take a few days to advance, but fighting in the demonic mountain region was also helping him get accustomed to the rapid increase in his strength. Yang Ryu seemed to have just opened his eyes as well as he greeted Shunlong. After eating some fruits from a few nearby trees, their group of two started walking towards the inner region. Traveling by just the two of them, Shunlong and Yang Ryu didn't waste much time in their journey. Shunlong had Little Black constantly scan the way, so he could avoid any situations that they couldn't deal with. They traveled during the day while they cultivated during the night. Their second day proved to be relatively uneventful. Aside from meeting one early rank 2 magic beast and a few rank 1 beasts, nothing notable happened. The central mountain was estimated to erupt in around 15 days since the disciples had first entered the region, but it could still erupt earlier or later than the 4 sects' original estimations. Hence, it was better to get to the inner region earlier. On the third day, however, as Shunlong and Yang Ryu were heading towards the inner region, they were ambushed by a big group of people. There were more than 15 people in this group as they threateningly surrounded the two of them. The disciples in this group belonged to the Flying Sword sect and surprisingly, the Floating Cloud sect. A woman in yellow robes as well as a man dressed in white with a red sword strapped on his waist walked out from the front of the group. The woman was around 16 years old with a pretty face and beautiful blonde hair as she looked at Shunlong and Yang Ryu before saying in a commanding tone, "Hand over your sect identifying jades and we will allow you to pass." Chapter 69 Gaining Experience. Of course, Little Black had already warned Shunlong about the ambush beforehand, but he didn't bother changing directions. He was participating in the outer sect examination. What would he gain by avoiding every fight? After taking a look at the blonde young woman and sensing her early rank 3 earth grade strength, Shunlong's eyes focused on the white-robed young man. This young man who had a red sword on his waist was at the middle stage of rank 3 in earth grade, and he was the strongest person in their group. The man's eyes were also staring intently at Shunlong, as he then turned his head to look at the pretty young woman beside him before speaking gently. "Lei Xiang, I will take care of this guy. You can take care of that guy from the Roaring Wind Pavilion." "Yi Zeming, are you okay?" the blonde girl asked the young man after she saw him staring at Shunlong intently. Yi Zeming had a feeling that Shunlong was more dangerous than Yang Ryu, even though he couldn't sense his strength, so he decided to test him out directly. As for the rest of the disciples, they had surrounded Shunlong and Yang Ryu as they waited for orders. Although Lei Xiang was also from the Floating Cloud sect, she didn't have any scruples teaming up with a disciple of the Flying Sword sect or attacking another disciple from her sect. You could do anything you wanted in this outer sect examination after all, and the sect wouldn't care. Yang Ryu pulled out his blue sword as he stared at Lei Xiang, who was holding a yellow bow in her hands. What do you think? Do you feel like surrendering your survival points now? Lei Xiang asked Yang Ryu smilingly. Yang Ryu shook his head as he charged straight towards her. Shun Long instead looked at Yi Zeming, who had unsheathed his bright red sword, as he said to the disciples around him. Make sure to assist Lei Xiang properly. As they heard Yi Zeming's words, both the disciples from the Flying Sword sect as well as the Floating Cloud sect who had surrounded them, charged towards Yang Ryu, while Lei Xiang had taken cover behind the trees as she shot arrow after arrow at him. Draw your weapon, Yi Zeming said sternly, but Shun Long simply shook his head as he clenched his left fist. He could use his Monarch's domain to take care of the guys attacking Yang Ryu as well as this Yi Zeming, but he didn't do so for two reasons. The first reason was that Yang Ryu had already seen the inexplicable scenario where Wang Huo had died in a split second a few days ago, and he would instantly connect the dots if the same thing happened again now. While the second reason was that Yang Ryu didn't seem to be in a bad spot and was seemingly smiling as he fought the disciples of the Flying Sword sect and the Floating Cloud sect. These disciples' strength was ranging between rank 9 in Qi condensation, while the strongest among them was just at the middle rank 1 in Earth grade. However, Lei Xiang's arrows that were covering these disciples were truly dangerous. Are you looking down on me? Yi Zeming roared in anger after seeing that Shun Long wasn't using a weapon, as he then rushed towards him with his sword in hand. Shun Long didn't directly attack Yi Zeming and instead focused on dodging his attacks. With the enhancement in his speed from the Monarch's eternal body, he could actually keep up with Yi Zeming's fast attacks as he dodged his sword again and again. Yi Zeming was advancing forward while Shun Long was moving backwards, but no attack had connected with him just yet. This was a very frustrating fighting style where you couldn't hit your opponent no matter how hard you swung your sword, but the truth was that this was dangerous for Shun Long as well. It wasn't easy to avoid a sword every time, and it took a lot of mental focus as well as immense physical strength to keep up with the speed of Yi Zeming's sword. And yet, Shun Long could sense that he was getting better and better at fighting the more this fight dragged on. He had already spotted a few openings during Yi Zeming's attacks, but because he wasn't prepared earlier, he couldn't take advantage of them. Yi Zeming seemed to be getting increasingly frustrated as beads of sweat were now rolling off his face as he roared. Eyes dodging all you can do, brat. Shun Long however ignored him as he continued to dodge repeatedly. Although his body had been reforged from scratch with the help of the Monarch's eternal body, Yi Zeming's sword was definitely at rank 3 bronze grade if not higher, and Shun Long was sure that he wouldn't be able to withstand it just yet, if his fist were to directly clash with the rank 3 bronze grade sword. Yi Zeming was starting to get tired after hacking with his sword unsuccessfully for such a long time. Hitting your opponent and missing them were two completely different concepts. Constantly hitting the air affected not only your physical performance but your mental ability as well, as it both tired the mind and the body much more compared to if your attacks were getting blocked. Yi Zeming had started hacking senselessly around him, feeling extremely frustrated, as Shun Long's eyes narrowed while he gathered his strength in his right hand. As Yi Zeming's sword once again slashed the air, Shun Long's right hand directly collided with Yi Zeming's lower ribs as a cracking sound was heard loudly before he was sent flying through the air. Shun Long had used more than 80% of his strength in this punch and the results were devastating. Yi Zeming's body flew through the air as it landed a few dozen meters away, on Yang Ryu's and Lei Xiang's battlefield. Chapter 70 Robbing Back. No. A woman's scream was heard as Yi Zeming landed on the ground in the midst of their fight, while he was clutching tightly his left rib cage as he then screamed in pain. Lei Xiang rushed to his side, and the fight suddenly halted while everyone's eyes turned towards Shun Long. Yang Ryu looked at him too as he laughed loudly, drawing everyone's attention as he walked by his side. Haha, as expected of brother Shun. Shun Long smiled at him as he asked. Are you okay? Just a few cuts here and there, but I'm okay. I haven't been able to fight like this before in my life. I will make you pay for this. Lei Xiang's voice was suddenly heard as she looked at Shun Long with eyes full of hatred. Shun Long, however, looked at her disdainfully as he said, "Hand over your sect-identifying jades quickly." "What?" Lei Xiang's voice was incredulous as she couldn't believe what she had heard. This guy wanted to rob them instead. Yang Ryu looked at her as if he was looking at an idiot and asked, "Didn't you want to rob us first? Of course, you will lose your sect-identifying jades now. What do you have to complain about anyway? Isn't this a survival test in the first place? Do you know who I am?" Lei Xiang completely ignored Yang Ryu's logical words as she looked at Shun Long and spoke in a threatening tone. Shun Long's look in his eyes chilled, when all of a sudden Yi Zeming struggled to stand up before he threw his sect jade over. "Brother Yi." Lei Xiang looked at Yi Zeming, who in return simply shook his head at her. Shun Long grabbed his sect jade and took his survival points that had already reached a staggering number of 43. Lei Xiang gritted her teeth as she also threw her sect jade at Shun Long. After Shun Long took Yi Zeming's, Lei Xiang's, as well as the rest of all their survival points, he now had close to 120 of them. Yang Ryu was laughing in schadenfreude as he looked at Lei Xiang, whose eyes looked as they were about to spit fire after having lost all of her survival points, and said in a mocking tone, "You are Lei Xiang, right? Are you going to cry to your elder brother after you return to the floating cloud sect? It's simply bad luck that you tried to rob me and brother Shun though. You." Lei Xiang was extremely angry, but she didn't know what to say as she watched Shun Long and Yang Ryu leisurely heading deeper towards the inner region. After taking a deep breath, she asked Yi Zeming, "Brother Yi, what happened back then?" Yi Zeming lowered his head as he whispered, "Xiang Er, that guy is a monster. He is a body refining cultivator." "What? You mean that he is the same as Dechong from the Iron Hardened sect?" "He is the same type of cultivator as Dechong, but he is definitely weaker than him in terms of strength. Dechong beats people with his immense physical strength, while this kid used his speed to beat me. I'm not sure if he is a match for Dechong at all, but he is definitely more than what we can handle now." Yi Zeming shook his head as he answered, "Humph, since he is a member of my floating cloud sect, I will definitely have my brother teach him a lesson when we return." Lei Xiang frowned and her pretty face was filled with displeasure as she thought of this guy who stole all of her survival points. Meanwhile, Shun Long and Yang Ryu were walking deeper inside as Yang Ryu said, "Brother Shun, I have 3 important things to tell you." Shun Long then looked at Yang Ryu, who continued speaking. "The first thing is this girl named Lei Xiang. Although she by herself isn't anything to worry about, I need to warn you about her elder brother. You have certainly heard about him since you are an outer disciple of the Floating Cloud sect. Her elder brother is Lei Pong. Brother Shun, I'm saying this so you can be prepared when you return back in your sect, as this person may personally find trouble with you for messing with his sister. Although we didn't do anything that went against any sect rules, petty-minded people like Lei Xiang will definitely look to get back at us in the future." Shun Long heard this and laughed coldly inside. If he managed to get first place in the sect examination and get the blood vermilion fruit, then he would probably be a match for Lei Pong by himself then. As Yang Ryu looked at Shun Long, who seemed to be slightly smiling, he continued, "I am certain that with your strength, Brother Shun, you will definitely try to enter the top 3 in the overall sect rankings for this examination, right? In that case, there are 2 things that you need to pay attention to. The survival points that you have gathered up to now are not even enough to enter the top 100. I don't know exactly how many points you will need to enter the top 3, but it will definitely be at least 5.000 of them. And also, since you aim to get in the top 3 rankings, there are 3 people that you need to pay close attention to in the sect examination. These people are all at the peak of rank 3 in Earth grade, but it is rumored that their strength is even a match for some early rank 4 Earth grade experts." Shun Long's eyes shone as he was intrigued by this. Seeing that he had captured his attention, Yang Ryu said, One of these three people is my senior sister from the Roaring Wind Pavilion, and I'm sure that you have heard of her before. Her name is Jiao Mingxia. Chapter 71, Parting Ways. Yang Ryu looked at him expectantly, as he was certain that Shunlong would have heard of his senior sister's name, but when he looked at his face, Yang Ryu felt like a deflated balloon that had just lost all of its air. Brother Shun, you don't tell me that you don't know who my senior sister is." Shunlong looked at him and answered matter-of-factly as he nodded his head. Never heard of her before." Yang Ryu felt like an arrow had just pierced his heart as he said. "Then Brother Shun, let me explain. My senior sister, Jiao Mingxia, is a very strong ice element cultivator, and she is probably the strongest out of everyone else in the sect exam. I'm not looking down on you, Brother Shun, but you are probably not a match for my senior sister at all. Aside from my senior sister though, there are two more people that you must be wary of, brother. One of them is the son of the sect master from the iron-hardened sect. People call him the little giant, Dichong. You probably saw him when sect master Dichao was arguing with the grand elder of the Flying Sword sect when we were at the demonic mountain region's entrance. It is rumored that Dichong is a body-refining cultivator, as well as the person with the strongest physical strength in the sect exam. The last of the three is the grandson of the grand elder from the Flying Sword sect, Liu Ming. Aside from him being a sword cultivator like most of the disciples in the Flying Sword sect, I don't have any other information about him." As Yang Ryu finished speaking, Little Black's voice was heard inside Shunlong's head. "Master, sword cultivators are usually extremely proficient in attacking techniques as well as in swiftly killing their opponents. I guess that the reason why people don't know much about this Liu Ming is so he can keep his trump cards hidden." Shunlong nodded his head as he was now interested in meeting these three people. One of them was the woman who Yang Ryu called the strongest in the sect exam. Although Shunlong didn't take his words to heart, there must still be something special in this woman for Yang Ryu to say something like that. The other one was a strong body-refining cultivator just like Shunlong, while the last one was the strongest sword cultivator from the Flying Sword sect that was participating in this exam. Yang Ryu then continued. "Aside from Brother Shun, your floating cloud sect must have some peak rank 3 earth grade cultivators as well, but none of them is a match for those three that I just mentioned. Brother Shun, even though I know you are strong, you cannot take those three lightly." Shunlong walked towards Yang Ryu and patted him on the shoulder as he said, "Thank you." Heading deeper towards the inner region, the two didn't meet with any more surprises on the way. Apart from the magic beasts that were at the early rank 2 and needed some effort from Shunlong to get killed, the rest of their journey was easy. On the 5th day, Shunlong and Yang Ryu arrived in front of a huge plains area. There were almost 20 people, forming 3 different groups, all of them being disciples of the 4 sections. As the two walked in, everyone had turned their heads to observe the newcomers. The people who had already managed to arrive here were all in the earth grade, with some of them having already reached the peak of rank 3. Yang Ryu looked at Shunlong as he said, "Brother Shun, we are now in the inner region. This is the safe area where most disciples in the earth grade will gather. As we came too early, it is relatively empty, that's why we don't see many people here. But in the next 5 to 10 days, this place will surely get crowded, as no one will want to miss the opportunity to absorb the chi from the central mountain." Shunlong's eyes were focused ahead, deeper inside the demonic mountain region, as he could faintly make out the shadow of a few huge mountain peaks, when Little Black's voice was heard in his head. "Master, I am certain that there is an extraordinary treasure in this demonic mountain region." Shunlong nodded his head as he responded to Little Black. "I had guessed so as well. The chi around us has more than doubled in density and purity, compared to when we were on the outskirts a few days ago. I assume that the deeper inside we head, the purer the chi we absorb will be, all the way until we reach the central mountain." "You are right, Master. But this won't be an easy journey for us. Master, you should probably leave that Yang Ryu fellow here. He will only become a burden to us later on, and there is a high chance that he may die as we head deeper inside. At the same time, Yang Ru's voice was heard as he looked at Shun Long and asked, "Brother Shun, how about we stay here in this place, while we wait for the Qi eruption to start?" Shun Long, however, shook his head as he replied, "Brother, it's better if we part ways here for now. I'm going to enter deeper inside the inner region." Yang Ru's eyes widened as he asked in a trembling voice, "Brother Shun, are you serious? It is too dangerous to wander around the inner region." Shun Long looked at Yang Ru as he nodded his head and said, "I have my reasons for heading deeper in the inner region. Although it is dangerous, this is something that I have to do." Yang Ru gritted his teeth as he said, "I will follow you then, brother." Chapter 72 Red-Fanged Flame Bat. Shun Long shook his head after he heard Yang Ru's words and said, "It's better if I go alone. We should part ways for now and meet again after the Qi eruption of the central mountain ends." Yang Ru sighed in his heart as he understood that he would be a burden with his strength if he followed Shun Long in the inner region. He was barely of any help while they were traveling through the outer region. He then took a deep breath as he said to Shun Long, "Brother Shun, you have to be careful. The inner region is extremely dangerous and there are many rank 3 beasts here." Shun Long nodded his head as he responded, "I know. Let's meet again after the central mountain's eruption then." After parting ways, Shun Long headed deeper inside the inner region. Everyone sitting in the safe area turned their heads to look at him as he was leaving and started discussing between themselves. "Who is this guy? He dares to enter the inner region by himself. Seems like he came together with senior brother Yang. So what? Isn't he just a normal disciple from the Floating Cloud sect?" "That's right, the Floating Cloud sect doesn't have anyone at the same level as our senior sister anyway. Even our senior sister didn't dare to walk alone inside the inner region." "Exactly. Does this guy think that he is at the same level as the 3 geniuses? He will certainly die for overestimating himself." Discussions were taking place between the 3 groups that were stationed in the safe area, but Shun Long completely ignored them as he walked forward. If other people headed deeper inside the inner region, they would surely be suicidal no matter how big their group was, if they were just rank 3 Earth-grade cultivators. However, Shun Long was different. He had a trump card to rely on that could take care of the magic beasts in the inner region. After traveling forward for a bit more than the time it takes to drink a cup of tea, this is approximately 10 to 15 minutes, Shun Long had already left the safe area far behind him when Little Black's voice sounded in his head. "Master, I can sense 2 rank 3 magic beasts. One of them is 17 miles towards the west while the other one is 23 miles to our south. Let's go towards the west first since it is closer. Do you sense any humans anywhere near us?" "No, master, there are only magic beasts here. If there are any humans, then they must be more than 30 miles away from us for me to be unable to sense them." "Good, then let's go," Shun Long said as he summoned Little Black from the Stone of Time. Although Shun Long hadn't summoned him when he was in the outskirts, that was because there were far too many disciples there while there were barely any threats to Shun Long's life, aside from beasts like the double-headed fish or the iron-winged eagle. But the inner region was different. The magic beasts here were all far stronger than what Shun Long could handle alone, while the human groups were practically non-existent, and with Little Black's powerful soul, sensing their surroundings, Shun Long didn't have many things to worry about. A 3 meters 10 feet tall black dragon had then appeared in front of him. Little Black stretched his head as Shun Long climbed on his neck, and sitting on his back he said, "Let's go." Little Black spread his majestic black wings as he soared from the ground heading directly towards the west. A huge gust of air hit the ground as the black dragon flapped his wings soaring in the sky, causing every magic beast that sensed his aura to immediately prostrate themselves. Dragons were, after all, kings among magic beasts. Shun Long was enjoying the view, as well as the feeling of flying, while he was sitting on top of Little Black's back, and in a very short time they had arrived outside a small cave. The cave was about 2 meters 6.5 feet in height, but it was wide enough for 3 people to walk inside it side by side. Screech! As soon as Little Black and Shun Long arrived outside of the cave, a screeching sound was heard, as a swarm of black bats flew towards them. Roar! Little Black opened his mouth as he roared towards the swarm of black bats that were attacking them from the cave. As the sound of this roar hit the bats, all of them crashed into the ground with blood flowing from their ears. More than 20 rank 2 bats had directly died from a single roar. A black shadow flew from the cave as it directly tried to escape through the air. It's actually a middle rank 3 red-fanged flame bat. Little Black quickly, don't let it escape. Don't worry master, how could it ever escape from us? Little Black flapped his wings and the distance from the bat was immediately halved. The red-fanged flame bat was a magic beast at the middle stages of rank 3, but as soon as it had sensed Little Black's aura outside its cave, it was instantly terrified as it fled without a second thought. The aura of a dragon, a king of magic beasts, was one of the most terrifying things to every living being. Forget about a middle stage rank 3 magic beast like the red-fanged flame bat. Little Black could probably fight against even a middle stage rank 4 magic beast right now, and he would only get stronger in the future as he recovers his strength. In almost no time, Shun Long and Little Black had arrived above the flame bat's head as Little Black used his talons to grab the bat's wings. The bat screeched loudly as Little Black brutally tore its wings from its body, making it crash on the ground. A small pool of blood had formed beneath the bat's body while it was still struggling to move and escape from this monster that was chasing it. Little Black's talons landed on the bat's neck that was now on the ground, as it brutally teared off its head. Finally, the bat stopped breathing as a pitch-black core rolled off from its now torn head into the ground. Shun Long fiddled with the beast core in his hand for a while before putting it inside the stone of time-space along with the bat's body. Although the red-fanged flame bat's body wasn't edible, parts of it could still be used as ingredients for alchemy, while its fangs could be used by formation masters to create silver-grade weapons. Aside from the red-fanged flame bat, there was still that swarm of rank 2 bats that could be sold for a good price in the treasure pavilion. Although rank 2 magic beasts rarely had a beast core in their bodies, the rest of their body parts would usually fetch a good price. After Shun Long put everything inside the Stone of Time, he walked towards the cave that the bats were living in. Little Black looked at his master, but his own body was too big to enter the small cave, so he couldn't help asking. "Master, do you think that there will be anything good inside this cave?" Although the chance is minimal, the truth is that when the red-fanged flame bat inhabits a cave, the powerful yin qi that it oozes from its body will sometimes be absorbed into its surroundings to produce rare alchemy materials. One of those materials is the rank 3 hell flower. Shun Long remembered that Yang Ryu needed this flower for his grandfather. However, after searching the cave, Shun Long was confused as well as a bit disappointed to not having found anything of use. Apparently, the red-fanged flame bat's qi hadn't produced anything inside the cave. After Shun Long failed to find anything inside, he left the cave as he climbed atop Little Black's back before he pondered for a while. "I don't understand. I could sense some yin qi inside the cave, but it was very faint both in quality and quantity. Unless the bats had started living in this cave today, the yin qi here shouldn't have been so faint. However, based on their sheer numbers, it's impossible for them to have migrated here today. Little Black, can you sense anything?" Shun Long was truly perplexed this time, and his senses weren't strong enough to understand what was going on, so his only option was asking Little Black. The black dragon closed his eyes as he sensed his surroundings for a long time. After that, he abruptly opened his eyes with an unfathomable glint inside them as he looked towards Shun Long and once again said telepathically, "Master, you were right. There should have been enough yin qi in the air to create some precious medicinal herbs, but..." After that, Little Black turned his head to look outside of the cave as he continued, "It's all been sucked away." Shun Long's eyes widened as he looked at Little Black incredulously before asking, Can you sense who is sucking away the yin qi then? Master, it's not just the yin qi here. Aside from the pure qi in the air, every other kind of qi in the surrounding 30 miles, is all being sucked deeper inside towards the central region. Chapter 73 Hunting Rank 3 Magic Beasts. A chill run through Shun Long's spine as he heard Little Black's words. What kind of existence did it have to be able to absorb every kind of energy, and from so many miles away? Something is wrong. No matter what kind of magic beast it is, as long as it hasn't reached an extremely high rank, it shouldn't be able to absorb every other kind of energy like the yin qi from the red-fanged flame bat while being so far away. Shun Long surmised after thinking about it thoroughly. Master is right. Even if I wanted to absorb the yin qi here, I wouldn't be able to do this from more than 1 mile away, and I am a black dragon. I refuse to believe that there is a peak rank 5 magic beast inside this demonic mountain region that would do this. Shun Long nodded his head at Little Black's words as he said. We will find out everything when we enter the central region, so there is no need to worry about it just yet. It's time to go towards the south. The black dragon stretched his majestic pitch-black wings after hearing Shun Long's words, and flew towards the south where he had sensed another rank 3 magic beast earlier before. His flying speed was extremely fast, bringing a sense of horror to the magic beasts that saw a black dragon flying in the sky as they hurriedly cowered away inside their nests and caves. Little Black and Shun Long quickly arrived in front of a small forest. Little Black's speed didn't decrease at all as he headed towards one of the tallest trees in the distance. The tree was green and more than 8 meters 26 feet tall, but its branches had a bright yellow color towards their ends that resembled flower petals. Shun Long's eyes glinted while Little Black opened his mouth and spat out a black ball of fire towards the tree. The tree immediately turned to black ashes as a small green beast core could be found inside them. Little Black snorted disdainfully after reducing the tree to ashes and said, "Just an early rank 3 man-eating tree, and it thought that it would escape my senses." Shun Long grabbed the beast core of the man-eating tree, and after storing it inside the Stone of Time, he asked Little Black if he could sense any other rank 3 magic beasts around them. The pair of the young man riding his dragon flew non-stop as they relentlessly hunted every rank 3 magic beasts they found in their vicinity. After almost 1 day of hunting, Shun Long's spatial space had been filled with all sorts of rank 3 beasts. Most of these magic beasts could easily kill heaven-grade experts as easily as killing chickens, and yet, Shun Long's spatial space had nearly a dozen of them now. Little Black looked at his smiling master that was now collecting the body of a rank 3 magic beast they had just killed, and he too smiled as he looked in the distance ahead of them, towards the central region before he sent a message to Shun Long. Master, we are now very close to the central region. If there is a chance, we should also hunt an early rank 4 magic beast. As Little Black finished speaking, however, he saw that Shun Long's eyes had turned serious as he said resolutely, "No." Little Black looked at Shun Long puzzledly as he said, "Master, won't the body of a rank 4 magic beast be of great help? Although it may prove a bit hard to kill one, I am still more than 80% certain of being able to kill any early rank 4 beast with my current strength. We have nothing to worry about, and even if the rumored peak rank 4 magic beast from the central mountain comes, we can still flee then. Even if it is some kind of aerial flying beast, it will certainly be unable to match me in terms of speed." Little Black's words were spoken with absolute confidence. Shun Long, however, shook his head as he replied, "Although the body of a rank 4 beast would be of tremendous help to me, there is something even more important in this demonic mountain region for us. Additionally, if you fight with a rank 4 magic beast, even if you swiftly kill it, you will certainly attract the attention of even stronger magic beasts. The central region isn't the inner region after all, and I assume that there are more than just a few rank 4 magic beasts inside. Before we find out about the treasure of the central mountain, we can't attract the attention of the strong magic beasts in the central region." Little Black didn't speak anymore as Shun Long walked in front of him and patted his head as continued, "Don't worry, after we find out what the secret of the central mountain is, we may still have time to hunt a rank 4 magic beast. After Shunlong finished speaking, he noticed that it was almost nighttime by now. After hunting magic beasts for the entire day, Shunlong had already arrived just a few dozen miles away from the central region. After finding a secluded cave in a mountain peak close by, he had Little Black ensure that there were no magic beasts around them before he started cultivating. Taking a deep breath inside the cave, Shunlong felt the qi around him madly rushing towards him. The quality of the qi here is truly much better compared to the outer region. Perhaps I can even break through to the middle stage of rank 8 tonight. Sitting cross-legged in the middle of the cave, Shunlong circulated the Monarch's hourglass as he absorbed the pure qi in this place. Little Black was also cultivating, but he hadn't entered a state where he was unable to sense his surroundings like Shunlong and was instead keeping watch of their surroundings at all times. 3 hours soon passed and a small popping sound could be heard from Shunlong's body as he then opened his eyes and exclaimed joyously. I managed to reach the middle stage of rank 8 in qi condensation in such a short amount of time. Just 3 hours of cultivating here is more efficient than 5 full days of cultivation in the outer region. Taking advantage of the opportunity to cultivate in this place, Shunlong quickly closed his eyes as he once again activated the Monarch's hourglass, absorbing the qi around him. Morning soon came and as the sun rose, Shunlong finally stopped cultivating. After stretching his hands and feet for a while, he walked out of the cave and patted Little Black's head as he said, Little Black, when we enter the central region, it's better for you to stay in the Stone of Time. The dragon's eyes widened as he heard this and anxiously he asked, Master, it is too dangerous for you. What if you dash? Shunlong patted his head as he said, I know. But it's also dangerous if you are exposed. We could do as we please in the inner region, but if the magic beasts in the central region turn their attention towards us, then the best we can do will be to flee by then. Shunlong saw the dejected dragon as he said, Don't worry, if I really get in a dangerous situation, you can always come out and help me. Little Black nodded his head as he went inside the Stone of Time before he used his powerful soul to sense Shunlong's surroundings. Shunlong had 3 major advantages that gave him enough confidence to walk by himself towards the central region that was now just a few dozen miles away from him. The first was Little Black's soul sensing, which could warn him for most dangers beforehand. The second was the Monarch's eternal body that had both increased his physical strength and his ability to tear space and escape a few dozen meters away. Shunlong was also certain that after refining the profound earth fruit into a pill, his Monarch's eternal body would become a lot stronger. If I concoct and consume the pill before the sect examination ends, by the time I finish absorbing the pill's medicinal effects, I would have probably already run out of time to gather enough survival points to first place. However, the third and most important advantage that he had, was the Monarch's hourglass ability to completely conceal his aura. As long as he was careful enough, he could probably avoid most of the dangers as he explored the central region. After more than 2 hours, Shunlong had arrived precisely 300 miles away from the tallest mountain in the demonic mountain region, the Central Mountain. The Central Mountain was nearly 10.000 meters, 32.800 feet, tall, while the 300 miles around it was what everyone categorized as the Central Region. Shunlong took a deep breath to calm his rising heartbeat as he looked at the Central Mountain, and taking a step forward, he finally entered the Central Region. Part 4 of the series ends here. If you enjoyed it, please give us a like and subscribe so we can be motivated to make even better videos in the future.